Hi, this is Chris, Video Game Dust Sleeves, and you're listening to the VGDS podcast with my co-host, Linda, aka the Gamer Girl,
Hello, Internet.
and my guest gamers, Bone06,
Oh man, who invited that guy?
Dan Cab
So-
Dragon,
How's everybody doing tonight?
Bandana Gamer,
The one and only.
and DizzyTheGamerJit.
How's it going, everybody?
The first segment of this podcast, as with all other podcasts, is Sleeve It or Leave It. The first game is Adventures of Bayou Billy on the NES. Linda, would you sleeve it or leave it?
Sure.
Dizzy, sleeve it or leave it?
Yeah, that's definitely getting the sleeve.
Dan?
I guess so.
Oh, you didn't
I
want
would-
to change it up? You didn't want to say
Well,
no?
this game always pops up when I'm not looking for it. So I see it a lot. But I do like Konami games from that era, so I would sleeve it.
Bones?
No.
Yeah, there you go.
Bandana?
Leave it. I
Nice.
mean, it's Konami, but it's really not.
Alright, the next title is Adventures of Gilligan's Island. Bones, sleeve it or leave it?
This one was a little tougher to make a decision on. I'm gonna sleeve this one only because it's just a little more uncommon, and showing my age, I enjoyed Gilligan's Island as a kid. So, yes, I would sleeve that.
Bandana?
It's a video game collection, not a Nick at Night lineup, so leave it.
Smack talker. Dan?
Yeah, I'm gonna leave this one. I don't even recall ever seeing this in a store, so
That could be because it's rare.
I don't have a desire.
Yeah, it's not really that rare. It's a little uncommon. It's like a treasure hunt.
Yeah, leave it.
Dizzy?
I would sleeve that actually more because I like the show than the video game. But yeah, sleeve it.
Linda?
Let's leave it just for Gilligan. It's the face just staring
Yeah.
at me all day.
And the skipper too.
The millionaire and his wife.
Hey, you want to keep going? A
The
movie star. Marianne.
Okay.
There was a 3-hour tour at some point,
Yeah, 3 hour
Come on, we
tour.
went back to the TV show.
and the rest.
Exactly.
Everybody, we blew out your eardrums. My bad.
You're welcome, Internet.
Yes, very. And the next title, Adventures of Rad Gravity. Dan, sleeve it or leave it?
I don't have this game, but I would probably sleeve it. I guess if I had it.
Well, just the box art alone looks pretty cool to
Yeah,
me.
it looks interesting.
Bandana, sleeve it or leave it?
I don't really have a strong feeling towards this one, so I'll sleeve it just to differ myself up a little bit.
Bones?
Sleeve it.
Linda?
I say no.
Oh man, that's some cool ass
Yeah.
box art. Dizzy?
Yeah, no.
I've never played it, so I'm saying leave it.
Damn. Okay, next title, Adventures of Tom Sawyer. Again, NES. Dan, sleeve it or leave it?
Oh man, I'm not loving your choices this month, Chris, or this podcast. But I mean, I know this game is a little bit valuable and rare, so I would have to sleeve it just based on that. I think.
Dizzy?
I'm saying sleeve it again, not because of the game, but because it's Tom Sawyer. I like the book, so I'm saying sleeve it.
Bandana?
Yeah, once again, I'm not like high school English class. It's a video game collection, so leave it.
Bones?
Screw this game. No way. Not an expensive game.
Linda?
I have to say no because I really just don't have the game and don't like the game. So
Okay.
Amen.
So all these games have something in common.
We hate them.
Hey, Star.
adventure. They all say adventure.
Exactly. Adventures. That's
Hmm.
that's why I did it. Every single title
We're
has
gonna take-
adventures in it.
gonna take an adventure to guess the box art.
We're gonna take an adventure. We're gonna take an adventure to losing these games, apparently. Okay, but yeah, you're right. We're taking the big adventure to guess that box art. Possibly somebody in here can get this one. It's a Jaguar game.
I'm out.
Who wants to start?
Immediately he's out. He's
Wait,
like, I'm done.
Is it Pitfall: The Mayan Adventure?
No, I don't think he's
I'm
back.
out.
Street Hoops.
What's that, Bones?
Street Hoops.
No.
Scottie Pippen, shut up and jam. Or whatever the hell it
I was
is.
gonna say
That's
every single
Barkley.
basketball game.
That's Barkley, shut up and jam.
Yeah, I think there's a Scottie Pippen on there or something, but I don't even know. I know there's it looks like a basketball player there. It looks like a street game.
That's Shaq Fu.
Oh man,
Way off, but okay.
I think we know that by heart.
Dan, you're the Jaguar guy. Do you know
Yeah, I
what
mean,
title this is?
It came with that 4-tap, Dan. What was it?
I know, like I do know it. You want me to guess it?
Yeah, sure.
Well, I mean, the only basketball game that I know of on Jaguars, White Men Can Jump. Is that it?
Ding, 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 ding.
Oh wow, that's it.
Yeah.
White man can't jump.
Based on a movie.
Hey, that was the next hint, actually. If Dan couldn't guess it, I was gonna say this is also a movie, and somebody would have came up with it eventually.
But I couldn't recall the art for it, but I knew that's the only basketball game on that system.
Yep. Is it really the only basketball game? There's no other basketball game?
I mean, there's like 10 games on a Jaguar total, so, it's not like they have a ton of basketball games.
10% of the games.
And due to
They
Wesley
probably
Snipes-
have one more, but I don't think they have a lot.
What's that, Bandana?
I was gonna say, and due to Wesley Snipes' tax situation, there wasn't a sequel.
He was out of country.
Yeah. All right, on to the next one here. This one might be a little bit harder.
Might.
Dan, we'll stick with you. Got a guess?
Oh, come on, I know this one.
Oh, you do know this one.
This is the game I asked you to sleep for me.
Yes, it is. I was surprised that you
You give
can
us a
tell what that
system,
is.
please?
Yes, I can give you. All right, go ahead, Dan. Give him the system.
It's PlayStation 2.
I'm surprised you know what it is by this little clip.
Oh, no, I recognize the artwork. Artwork is very distinguishable.
Something gal.
No.
Okay.
What are they in? What is...
Plane,
Spaceship.
Star Trek, Star
All right,
Wars.
so the background. What's the background?
Sky.
Yes.
The boy who could fly.
Sky.
Guy is part of the title.
Yes. Sky.
Sky Shark.
No.
Sky Hunter.
Close.
Skyhawk.
Well, there's the other one title I could think of is Sky Gunner, but that's the
Got
only
it.
thing I could think of.
That's
That's it.
Ooh.
Yes!
Yeah, she got it.
Such an obscure title. How did you get that, dude?
It's a great game. I mean, it's a shooter. It's a very anime graphic shooter. So
Yeah, I remember the show. Like a lot of people were like doing like anime style show games in that era.
So yeah, I highly recommend this game. It's pretty good.
Okay, on to the next segment. Logo Sleeve of the Month. This month goes to Richard W. That's right. If you would like his sleeve, please by all means contact me. Proceeds go to his channel and check out his streams.
I didn't know you even had that sleeve.
Yes, sir. I have a lot of sleeves that you don't know about.
Well, why are
And-
you keeping this important
and-
information from all of us in the YouTube world?
And the logo sleeves keep growing every day. Just keep that in mind. Like, I'm probably at 150 maybe now, logo sleeves. I can't advertise for everybody. It's hard for me to do that. Like, I'm trying to figure out a way to post all these logo sleeves so that way everybody could be like, okay, I know to go there and it'll always be there. So that's why I started the text channel in here, and I just haven't populated it yet. I'm slacking. I'm a little bit behind on that. But eventually all the logo sleeves will be in the Discord.
I feel like this just became the soap opera episode. Like, there's this Dust Sleeves has a secret life, and he's just like out sleeving for like any and everyone. And like
Unfortunately,
we're just learning it.
It is just like that.
I trusted you.
I just did another logo. You can ask Bones and Dan. I just did another logo, and that happened to have he has the dust sleeve now.
And it turns out Bones is actually Linda's long lost twin brother, who slipped into an 8-year coma.
Yeah. My real name is Charlotte.
And you're a diamond thief. You're totally a diamond thief. That's
yeah.
Yeah, that blood diamond. That's what she steals, the blood diamonds.
yeah.
Mhm.
And the news of a secret sleeve life is what brings Bones out of the coma.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. More you know.
It's like a bad Steven Seagal movie.
Jesus.
First of all, there's no bad Steven Seagal.
Uh-oh.
Oh no, we're not gonna get into that debate. Please don't.
Obviously, you haven't seen any of his latest or newest movies because they were horrible.
I say there's no good one.
Oh!
Hey now.
The 80s ones were good in 90s, but after that, no.
I mean, to be fair, there's really only one Steven Seagal movie.
Which one?
It's just the hairline that changes.
I get it.
And we digress to
And
the
on
next
that note-
segment.
On that note, all right, so there's a new type of franchise called Not Quite Franchise of the Month. Dan?
All right, so I like to switch things up every once in a while, not do the same thing over and over again. So this month I'm going to focus on titles that were part of a franchise, kind of, but not really. So they kind of take the names and likeness of a more well-known franchise, but they kind of changed it a little bit, and it's kind of like the odd stepchild of a franchise. So this is a two-parter. The first part, if you look at the top picture, it's a bunch of titles that I picked out that I remember being like, why the heck did they make this game? It has nothing to do with like the regular series, more or less. So just curious if anybody has played any of these, or if you can think of your own titles that always struck you as a little bit odd, didn't really quite fit into the rest of the franchise. So we'll go around the block here, and who wants to start?
Well, I mean, I can
Chirp,
start
chirp,
it off
chirp,
here.
chirp, chirp.
Turker, turker. I've played Street Fighter 2020. I've also played Mighty Final Fight. I have not acquired the Jaguar Karts racing game or Valis. I don't have any of those other ones. Still want to get Knuckles Chaotic, but I think I actually have Maximo, but I haven't played it yet. But as far as like the two games for the NES, the Mighty Final Fight and the Street Fighter ones, like I like them a lot. You're right; they have no premise to any of the other series of those games. That's not even a one-on-one fighter. Street Fighter 2020, it's a platformer in a way, so not like any of the other ones. Mighty Final Fight, I'm not sure why they did it, honestly. I've always wondered that myself. The only thing I can think of is they weren't able to do Final Fight because it is the NES like they can on the Super NES. So this is what you got. This is the dull, dumbed-down version of it. Even though it's a good game, I played the hell out of that as a kid. Still, that's one of my favorite games as well. That's been in my collection since I was a kid. That's never left my collection. I've never played any of the other ones, though, to really know if they're close to a series or not. I guess Knuckles Chaotic, though. I mean, it still is sort of a Sonic game. So, I mean, I could see that being similar in a way. at least to original Sonic, but I could imagine it's still different in a way. But yeah, really the only two I have any experience with is going to be the first two on it, Mighty Final Fight and the Street Fighter 2020.
Well, the kart one would be based off of like what, Mario Kart then?
Well, so
It's to compete with it, really.
Right.
Atari Karts features the bear from Crystal Castles, so Atari didn't have as much of a good character lineup as Mario Kart. They're definitely trying to copy the Mario Kart series using their own licenses, but really the only character that anybody would have ever have seen before is the little bear from Crystal Castles. So I just thought it was a really weird way to launch your own driving title for that platform.
Okay, who wants to go next? Dizzy?
I'd say two games that I say don't go with the rest is Final Fantasy Mystic Quest for Super Nintendo. I got that one. Doesn't really go with the other games. And I'd also say the Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero for N64. That game really didn't go with the other Mortal Kombat games. Those are two that I just thought about. Don't really go with the rest of the franchises, in my opinion. Totally different games. The Sub-Zero one, I got thinking it would be a Mortal Kombat game for 64. Totally different. And yeah, I just hated that game after that. But a lot of people like it. But just my opinion, I really couldn't play that game.
Who likes that game? I want addresses.
I don't know anybody that likes
Honestly,
that.
I can't say anything because I never played it. So
It's horrible.
Oh man, it's bad.
Oh, the control.
It's
Yeah,
the
they tried to
control.
do some
Flat
things.
out.
They tried
Worse
to do some
controls.
things that they weren't ready for.
Yeah.
You can't combine two different style games and hope that it works out good. It sucked.
Yeah, they try to make an RPG out of Mortal Kombat, and I just wanted to fight. I wanted to fight somebody else, and just to get to fighting took forever. Yeah, it wasn't good. Anybody play that Mystic Quest, the Final Fantasy for Super Nintendo?
no,
No, actually, I never played that one.
me neither.
I have.
Yeah,
I mean,
too.
it's hey, dumb Americans, you can play Final Fantasy too.
Yeah,
As well.
I started it, never got far in it. Just had to take it out, put something else in.
Square just did not have enough faith in America at that point in time to understand what an RPG did.
Dan, you're more of an RPG guy, right? So what about you? Did you play that?
Yeah, that was definitely. I played that. I did discover. I did go in expecting it to be like another installment of the Final Fantasy series, and I was really disappointed. Yeah, that was a good call, Dizzy. Actually, I thought about putting that on here actually. So
Oh, cool.
yeah,
Nice.
so I'm glad you pointed it out.
Why? Kid Dracula rings a bell. What franchise is that supposed to be?
That's actually a Castlevania game, but with
that's it. I was trying to figure
Yeah.
it out.
but in
It's
a
meant to be
cartoony kid style.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Meant to be Castlevania, and then they kind of like switched it up.
So somebody tell me, Knuckles is in here. The Chaotix.
Yep.
How
Yep.
bad is that different from the Sonic games? Like, why is it in here?
I put it in here because it really felt to me different. Like I don't know. I just didn't feel like. I mean, I guess this is probably the most similar to the rest of the games out of all these games I put here, but it just felt different. It didn't really, it didn't really. I didn't like it. I just put it in. I played it for a little bit, and it just didn't grab me
It
at all.
didn't seem
so
like a Sonic game.
it didn't seem like it to me. Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't fun to play for me, at least.
Yeah, I would have probably the least opinion of these games because I haven't really played any of them to give you a good
Does-
opinion.
Anybody know where Portal comes from?
Oh yeah,
No, I have no idea.
Me neither.
I do.
Go
My
ahead,
hands up.
Bandana.
My hands up.
Put
Oh,
it
yeah,
up.
yeah.
Put it up high.
Put it up.
I'm waving, guys. Teacher.
Go ahead, Bandana.
That's
Tell us
Half-Life,
about
right?
it.
Half-Life. You're right.
That's the film.
Yeah.
Well, it's a student project that Valve got really interested in, and then they're like, "Hey, put this in Half-Life."
Kind of like when a big franchise sees somebody make a fan game, it's really good, and they kind of like support it. And that was one of the games like that. I saw it was really good. was from the universe of Half-Life.
What's Maximo off of?
That is made by Capcom. That's actually kind of a spin-off of the Ghost and Goblin series.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I see it
So
now.
instead of a side-scrolling platform, it's more like a first-person or like
You run
third-person-
around and
yeah.
you run around and you're like trying to collect things. It's kind of like a version of a platformer a little bit.
Yep.
And I'm guessing they were way in left field with Resident Evil Gaiden, or Gaiden, however you want to pronounce it.
Yeah,
That's
Gaiden
like-
was basically you're walking around similar to the Resident Evil games, but when you meet a zombie, you had to like time it where it would hit like a certain mark, and if you didn't hit that mark, you didn't shoot at the zombie. So it was like super fast. It was very hard to like time it correctly if you're not fast with it. And then the little bar window was like small, so people kind of started hating that and just like stopped playing after they couldn't hit the zombie after a couple times. It wasn't even like aiming. It was literally like you had to wait for it. It was kind of like if you were to play a rhythm game, you had to hit it on that certain mark of the rhythm, otherwise you were off.
Death by Degrees. She looks pretty badass.
That is. Come on now.
Who can guess?
Come on now.
Oh, that's Tekken.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
She's
Tekken.
badass.
And
She looks like she's gonna whoop
And,
somebody's ass.
her and her sister are very, very lethal with their heels.
Heel to the throat.
She'll slap you. She literally will just come up and judo chop and slap.
Yeah, I never played it, so that's why I was questioning it.
It's one of those like oddball kind of like Sub-Zero
Exactly. Yeah.
for Mortal Kombat, where you're like, what? Makes no sense. It's a fighting game, but we're gonna try something different.
Arizonk, you might as well just keep me out of that. That's a TurboGrafx game.
Yes. Bonk's Adventure turned into a shooter, which is a good game too, but it's just a weird decision to make it, cross genres and make it a different game.
Yeah,
And that Jammer game, is that what that is?
that is Parappa the Rapper.
Yeah, I
Yes.
knew what it was.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, hold on, what's this Jammer?
I just found out about it when I started playing Parappa the Rapper. I didn't even remember that game or knew about that game.
I'm Jamalani.
Then all of a sudden I'm like,
But instead of rapping, you play guitar.
I actually played that before I played Parappa.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I found it like it was $10 at Walmart when I was like 15. I was like, cool, okay. Bargain video games that takes me back. Holding in the
Yeah.
feels.
Yeah. You don't see bargains anymore like that. Not brand new anyway.
Oh no.
well, they're still happening, but it's just like random weird, like Walmart trying to get rid of like their stock.
I was about to
So
say
you can
I got Xenoblade Chronicles for the Switch for $10.
You can still find it, but it's not online. You have to actually go to the store. And, like looking through a bin of just like random.
You have to risk a possible virus, but it makes game shopping like Resident Evil. It's a game within a game. Whoa.
Oh yeah.
Matrix.
Okay, Dan. What's this next part?
All right, this is just a bonus question. This game is a Namco game called Grobda, and does anybody know where this title originally came from or appeared in?
No.
Nope.
Yeah, okay.
Ah.
Hold on, let me see.
I'm just gonna go with the Hail Mary and say Pac-Man.
So so in the shooter, the top-down shooter Xevious, Grobda is one of the little tanks on the ground that you destroy. So in this
Oh,
version,
okay.
you actually play the tank and you go.
Nice.
So it's a little bit of a twist. So yeah. So that was
Gotcha.
So that's it for franchise of the month. There's actually a lot of games. I was digging through this, and I was coming up with a lot of good answers, a lot of good examples, and so this may not be the last time you see this segment.
We'll have ones that did it right.
Yep.
Okay, on to the main portion of the podcast, and we are going to be talking about reproduction. Anything reproduction. Could be game, could be sticker, label, could be inserts, could be box, anything you can think of, consoles. We're going to talk about it. So first off, let's get your opinion. What is your opinion on reproduction in general? Like, in general, will you ever buy anything reproduction? We'll go down the line. Bandana?
I mean, just
As a broad statement right now.
I was about to say, yeah, sure.
Bones?
Oh, man.
Just broadly, would you buy anything reproduction?
No.
Dan?
Yeah, I would buy a reproduction.
Dizzy?
Just because of the price difference between the original and repro, I probably would get a repro.
Linda?
I have bought reproduction.
Okay. All right,
Just
so
got confessional. All right, Linda, let's talk about that feeling, okay?
while we're on that topic, let's talk about the feeling of what reproduction you're talking here. If it was reproduction of a cartridge, Bandana, would you buy a reproduction cartridge? Like a reproduction game?
If it's a reproduction of a game that's unaltered, like it's not like a ROM hack put onto a cartridge, no, I wouldn't buy that. But I appreciate, because I've known people that had a passing interest and got into them, knowing they were buying reproductions.
Right.
So,
Bones.
I think my...
Good. Good, Bandana.
I was just saying, I think, and this is probably everyone's like, the biggest reproduction no is selling them as
legit
games.
Right.
And like, I think everyone here is probably against that practice.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
The whole line would say no, for sure. That nobody would want to buy something that is passed off
Yeah.
as being real when it's actually not. So, Bones, would you buy a cartridge reproduction?
See, this is like a loaded question right here. Do I want reproduction cartridges? No. Do I own a reproduction cartridge? Yes. But that's only because of one reason, and like you guys were saying, expensive.
All right.
I only bought it. It's still in box. It's not opened. I would never try to pan it off as a reproduction being sold as authentic. It also says reproduction on the box, which is another thing that, I feel should be on anything that's reproduction. You should have it written on there. And that's where it comes down to people trying to pawn it off as authentic and get top dollar for something that's, a reproduction. I mean, like I said, it's a hard one because I don't want reproduction in my collection. I've gone out of my way and strive to have all authentic. I don't want to have, well, is this real or is this a reproduction? No, I don't want any of that. But stadium events, I did not have a choice. I refused to pay $10,000.
And I was just about to ask you what game it was, but you answered the question. So, stadium events.
Stadium events, yep. I got a reproduction in box that was done years ago. Some company did a certain number, and it's still not even cheap, brand new sealed. It's still like at least, I think it's probably like $100 game. So even that, like when you think about it, it's reproduction and it still was $100, but you can't even find those. People are still producing the cartridges because I know I've seen them online, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at on that. But go ahead, you can move to the next guy.
Okay, Dan, same question. Cartridge, would you buy reproduction cartridges?
Yeah, I mean, as a collector, I have these systems and I want to play a game on my system, and if I really want to play on a system without having to play an emulator or ROM on my computer, I'm okay with having a reproduction game for a game that's like super rare that I'm never going to see, that doesn't cost like $10,000 for. I don't think that's reasonable or realistic. And I mean, I can sit there and drool over it and see it on people see it online, or we'll see YouTube videos of it. But if I really want to play it on my own console, and that's only as a regular person without a huge fortune to spend on games, I'd be okay with buying a reproduction game for that purpose. But I would, again, yeah, you're right. I would never sell it or, hope to profit off it by any means.
Dizzy?
I'd say 10 years ago, I would say no. But in 2021, the way the prices are, if the original Paper Mario 64 is around 200, and I could find a repro for like 25 and play it on original hardware, I'm gonna do it because everybody's just using emulators right now, and I do the same thing on a Retro Pi. But like I said, if I could play the cart on original 64 hardware, then I'm gonna go for it. So I'd do it.
Linda?
Just because of the price difference, so.
Right. And Linda?
So here's the only thing that I have to do for when I do buy a reproduction. It has to be either a different color from the cart that originally was, or it has to say on the label, production. I won't buy it if it doesn't have that. Because I don't want somebody to accidentally sell a game or have a game that is considered in their eyes as a real game. Every single reproduction cart that I have, there is a completely different color that you can obviously tell that it was a reproduction, or I have on the label, like I asked the seller to put it on the label, reproduction. If they won't do that, I say sorry, I'm not gonna buy that game. And a lot of people are starting to do that now, where they're just putting a reproduction immediately on the label so they don't have to worry about it. And that's the only way I would buy it. If it doesn't have any of those, I just move on to the next, because there's tons of people selling reproduction carts as we speak that are making, homebrew hacks and everything in between. So I find it all the time where they'll say reproduction on the label or something like that. So the only thing I don't do is buy everything that looks original.
I actually like that idea you're saying about having it a different color or having it right on the front, reproduction. That way, even if it's in your collection, people can see it and know you're not even trying to pass it off as being original. You're showing right there it's a repro, and I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I started doing that. And I was realizing that what if accidentally somebody throws my game into like a sell bin, like a family friend, Reggie, I don't know who's gonna do that, you never know. Is I'll say, hey, can you go sell a couple games for me? They'll just not know what to grab, But I don't want to have that happen if I ever have to have that happen. Like, I rather just immediately say reproduction, and then they just immediately go, okay, I'm not gonna take this one because I don't sell reproductions. So
yeah, I agree
what do you
with
think of that?
pretty much everybody. Like, if I was to buy a repro right now, I don't have any repros in my collection, but if it was, it's going to be an extremely expensive title that I cannot afford. Then I would buy reproduction cartridge. And then you bring up the cartridge color difference and the box art difference, label art difference. That would all have to be there, and it would have to say reproduction on it. I wouldn't feel comfortable having it in my collection just for the sake of if anything ever happened to me and the games got handed down to my son, my daughter, my wife, and they just want to get rid of them. Well, at least they know for sure, like you said, Linda, 100%. It's on the box, it's on the label, whatever. It says reproduction. If it ever got out of this house, the next person will know for sure that's what they have. There's no passing it off. So that's my whole thought on carts anyway.
Yeah. Also too, like if we were gonna get it stolen,
right.
I don't want anybody to try to pass
Right.
it off either.
That's true. I've had things stolen from me plenty of times, like when it comes to games and consoles and stuff, and that would really suck if somebody ended up with one of those stolen copies and pawned it off for something that's legit when it's not. Okay, since we went over carts, let's do labels now. We'll go down the line just like we did Bandana. Thoughts on labels?
Well, I think it's a similar thing of making sure it's kind of an honesty thing. I recently relabeled a cartridge, mainly so it looks good in my collection, and I kept the original shell with the banged up label. So I'm okay with it, but I'm with y'all. Like, I think you want to do whatever is in your power if it ever goes out into the market again to make sure that it's either known that it's a reproduction label or put it back in its original shell. I will say I don't think I'm as virtuous as you. Like, if something were to happen to me and my wife is clearing out my cartridges, I don't know if I really care at that point because, you know, apparently I have some bigger issues going on. But
bury me with my game.
I'm not gonna say, like, the one game, it was a fairly expensive game. It was Mega Man X3, and I found it for cheap with a banged up label. I'm like, yeah, bury me with that. But you know, I'm not gonna like come back and haunt the reseller and be like, hey, from the beyond, you're selling the bad thing. But I'm cool with the repro label just because I wanted it to look good on my shelf, and I took into what, like, a lot of y'all advised me in terms of ethics, and I kind of felt like keeping the original shell with the original label so they could be a package deal if it ever leaves the house, and I'd be okay with that ethically.
Okay, Bones.
Well, I'm kind of on the same page as well. If I got a cartridge and it had no label on it, and I'm saying no label, I would throw that side, or that whatever it is, I'd throw the front piece into like a box, and that's only if it had some of the label left. If there's no label on it, I mean, what's the purpose in not putting one on there? I mean, is it a good thing? Not necessarily, because of the whole fact you're putting a reproduction label on an authentic cartridge. Now, if you're doing it like the one and only is, that's perfectly fine, and it's in your collection. You've got the actual front, the real one sitting right there. I was going to do the same thing with DuckTales too, and I bought the reproduction label, and I had a duplicate game upstairs. I was just going to swap that label off, throw that one on, and I looked at it, and I just kept looking at it, and I'm like, you know what? I couldn't bring myself to do it. I literally just kept the label, and then when I gifted that game away, I gave that label away with it and said, you know, if you want, swap this one onto a junkier game, and then you can have a pristine looking copy. There were differences that you could notice in it, like the chain was positioned a little different.
Did it say reproduction on it though?
No.
Ooh.
And that's the thing. A lot of people don't put that on there. It's a very big market doing reproduction, and I get the whole premise behind it. You know, people don't want to pay it, but I don't want to have to worry about, is anything in my collection reproduction for a label. I don't want it. I've gotten to the point where reproduction and people trying to pan off reproduction crap as authentic, and you literally catch them left and right, and you see it online. Like, you'll look a game up and there's more reproduction than there's legit copies. I mean, it's a little intense. I've gone out of my way and purposely buy games that, you know, this is real. It's got a Blockbuster sticker on it. It's got this rental store sticker on it. It'll have some other sign to show this is authentic on my cartridge. You don't even have to second guess it, because nobody's reproducing any of those things. They want to get as much as possible. They want it to look as pristine as possible. So they don't put anything on there. So that's another thing that I've been slowly doing. If I want something that I don't want to have to worry about anybody questioning, I get it with a Blockbuster sticker or something on it. Now, granted, I don't want to cover the whole label, but it is what it is. I don't ever have to worry about somebody questioning, though, is this authentic?
Dan?
For labels, I'm probably not as much of a stickler as some of you are. You know, 'cause for me, you know, it's all about aesthetics. You know, if these are in my collection, and you know the label is torn or falling off, you know, I'm okay with putting something on for my own my own use and purposes. I definitely agree with everybody about the ethics behind it, not intending it for sale. So I'm cool with if it says reproduction label. I'm perfectly fine with that. But I would definitely put, if I have a cartridge that doesn't have a label. I mean, some of these Atari games are 40 or 50 years old now, and the glue wasn't meant to sit around, I don't think, for that long, and so a lot of the Atari labels just fall off. And I have several blank cartridges. I don't even know what they are, because I've lost the labels over the years. So for those cases, I certainly think it's okay to relabel them. The thing about it is that's tricky is that if you are concerned about reproduction versus authentic, printing and the printers these days are getting really good, and you can make really authentic looking labels. So that is a tricky thing to look out for if you're buying something. And but also an old game is going to have an old label, so something with a brand spanking new label that's a really old game is probably not real, so you can always tell that way as well. So I'm okay with having fake labels on your games if you as a collector or want it for your own collection.
Dan is a very wise
man. Get them sleeved.
Hey, that was my part. I was supposed to mention that, but thanks, Coach.
I'm just helping you out, brother.
Dizzy?
Yeah, Bones and Chris, I was actually going to say the same thing. If the label's not looking good, like, for example, if it's a NES cart, if the label's old, it's going to look better like that. Just keep the original, beat up label and just put a dust sleeve on that thing. That's all you got to do to make that look good. And I'd say if it's like something like a PlayStation 2 game and you just wanted to put maybe the front label in the front, maybe put a repro on it, because if you don't have the repro, people are going to probably think that's the original artwork and stuff. So I'd say for the PS2, because I got some PS2 games that don't have the original label in the front, and it might just be like a printout from like a printer, but black and white, so people know it's not real. If you do it in color, of course nowadays, like you guys were saying, if you can make it look so good that it looks real, original. So I'd say make the color a little bit slightly off, maybe have the color a little bit faded, just so people know it's not a real one. And I'd say that'd be okay. Or just put a dust sleeve on it.
Linda?
I don't really care about relabeling at all. I have, like Dan, Atari games with the AND labels missing. I don't have any problem with the busted up label. As long as the game works, the shell is good, okay with it. I don't think I'll probably ever relabel anything. And that's just because it's just too much of an effort for me to just go and have to re-stick a new label on there. I'm just cool with just buying another copy. If I really am that animated about a game, I'll just buy another copy and then just sell the old copy, because I don't have a problem with that.
And I will have to agree with you, Linda. I will not put a reproduction label on my cartridges. There is one on one cartridge, but I got it that way. And I know it's that way because I deal with box art. I know that's not a legit label. It won't leave my house without being known that it is a reproduction. And the best thing to do for your stuff, like Bones I had already mentioned, Dizzy already mentioned, sleeve it.
Slave it.
If you don't have a label or your label's damaged, get the sleeve. Like it's the best alternative. Like leave it original. I that's my personal opinion, and I'm not trying to promote myself at any means. I'm just trying to say, like, for an aesthetic standpoint, without changing originality of the cart or anything like that, or worrying about whether it's going to be reproduction and somebody else getting their hands on it, or it not saying reproduction or anything like that, the best alternative is to put something around it that has the box art on it, and that would be most likely a sleeve. But that's really my thing when it comes to labels. It could be like the crappiest label. I won't change it. It will stay like that. I have had like Dan said, Atari games that eventually it falls off. I luckily found some of mine. I just re-glued them back down. That's all I did.
Yeah.
It's real simple. Just put some more glue on it, put it right back down, and it's good to go again. But I never put a reproduction label on. I can tell you firsthand, I am one of those type of people that can reproduce any box art, any label to a T, and nobody would know unless I told you that that's a reproduction. So you're talking to somebody that knows firsthand on how to make any label, make any box art. And the next thing we're going to talk about is inserts for like PlayStation 2. Dizzy, you already touched on it a little bit, but how many of you in here would put a reproduction insert inside like a PS2 case or, you know, anything modern? We'll just go down the line again. Bandana?
I don't know if I don't know if I have a distinct opinion on that one. I don't think I would actually do it, but I don't care enough about PS2 or that era of gaming.
So even modern, like, because they're that would be under that category too.
Like a reproduction case, kind of, is that?
Just like the insert, the thing that goes inside between, so you know what the game is, and any of the.
It would not bother me as much on a disc game. I don't know if I would go as far to do it instead of just putting it in a clearly like generic case.
Aesthetically, you wouldn't want to like put just something on there so that way you knew that game was that game.
Yeah, I guess I would. This is a hypothetical I hadn't really thought through.
Right.
So yeah, I was much more ready for the cartridge label debate. Like,
threw you a curveball.
by the way, I think there is a great premise for a show. By the way, kind of like the Catch Me If You Can movie, with you like with you Dust Leaves like tracking down pirated bootleg gamers using your methods of.
I guess
that would not bother me as much to find out that I had a reproduction case, just because that's such a minimal thing. That I trying to come up with a feeling, and I'm not finding one I'm hooked on.
All right, well then that's pretty much what it is then.
So.
You don't really have an opinion on it too much. You don't care enough.
No, I'm just dead inside.
All right, Bones. I know you care.
Well, see, the thing is, like I said, it's like a loaded question, because if it works for you for your personal collection, you can do whatever you want. You can print out whatever, you can buy whatever, you can do whatever. But you always have to have the mindset that eventually one day that item could be out in the wild and somebody could mistake it. Not everybody's up to par on noticing and picking things out. What's fake, what's real, what's reproduction, you know, and like Dan said, they're getting a lot better with it. Now, I've been striving because I don't like my loose discs, and I have reproduction box artwork. And I've been busting my ass getting rid of those out of my collection. I have very, very few left now. I have everything in an authentic box. And not all of my boxes are pristine. Not all of my cartridges are pristine. I'm in the same boat as you guys. I have cartridges that are beat up. I have cases that are beat up. And, you know, as the older I get, that's a story behind that item. The condition, what did it go through? Where was it at? You know, I might not know all those things, but there's a history and a story behind each one of these items. So, I mean, if I had loose discs and I knew they weren't going to leave my collection and I felt that, you know, the box artwork didn't bother me printed, I would do it. Like I said, if it works for you, more power to you. Now, me personally, in my collection, I don't want any of those. like I said, I have a few left. I think I have 5 that I need to swap out and get original authentic cases for. But that's just my own personal prerogative with it. Would I hate on anybody for having them? No. But I would want you to hopefully expect that one day that might be out in the wild and it might fool someone. I've gotten pretty good at picking lots of stuff out as far as stickers and cases. Look for certain things, like look at the NTSC on it. There's a very distinct PlayStation print when you look at that. Look at the PlayStation emblem. That also will jump out at you. But they are getting good. They're using the proper paper with it. So mainly it would be pricier titles that I think you'd have to watch out for. But my collection, no, I just don't prefer them in my collection.
Okay, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, same as before. I'm not as much of a stickler about that. I'm really mainly most important thing to me is the aesthetics of my collection. Like, I want everything consistent and uniform looking. So I really don't like it when I have like a bunch of boxed games and right next to them a bunch of like not boxed games or loose games and stuff. So I try to put everything complete eventually, and if I can find it legit, authentic original boxes, great. But for some games that I was fortunate enough to have a loose copy of, I'm not paying $200 or $300 just for a piece, cardboard, so I can put up around this game. The game itself is what I want to play, but I do want it to look good on my shelf. So if that means me getting a cheap box, a repro looking box, I'd rather do that than not have anything at all for it. With the inserts, their website's devoted to that, like printing up your own inserts so you can put them into generic or loose empty cases to complete your game. So I'm okay with that. I mean, I'm okay with the reproduction on it, having that, because for me it's display only. It's for my own collection. So I'm not a stickler. I don't really hate on people for doing that. But yeah, I would never sell it or expect people to buy or pay money for reproduction thinking that it's real. I think that's definitely wrong.
Yeah, Dizzy, I know you kind of already touched it a little bit.
Yeah, what I'd say for my collection, what I'm probably gonna do is, well, because I like the CIB PS2 games that I have. If it's not CIB, I'm not gonna want somebody to think that it is. So probably the games that don't have labels, I'll probably just print them out in black and white with no color, and that way I could tell myself if it's CIB or not, or if somebody else can plainly see it's not original. I don't have the original label, so mine will probably be in black and white. And or if I really do like the game and don't have the label, a black and white label and maybe a PS2 dust sleeve on top of it, just so I could look at my collection and I could see what's original CIB and what's not. I'd like to look at it and be able to tell myself. So I would go that route, just not having it in color, just so I could, separate, what's original and what's not. But that's pretty much my opinion on it.
Linda?
Oh, I have done this in the past and also had Chris print out some labels for me. So I've done that also, Dizzy, where I made it all black and white.
Yeah.
Or when Chris did that for me, I went with a marker and put reproduction on there. Oh. I even did it on my own. I damaged it on purpose so that it says reproduction on it, so that anybody who were to get this case would be like, reproduction? Okay. And actually have to like ask the seller and do something like that. So I will only do that either in black and white, or because I don't like empty cases and I don't like loose games. I just don't like looking through mountains of stuff in tubs and different things to figure out what game it is, or have to keep cracking it open. When you have like over 20, PS2 games, it starts getting annoying when all of them are in empty cases or looking around for it to try to figure out what game it is, and it's something I've always hated. So even before I met Chris or did that, I always did the same thing too, where I just go to a regular printer, try to match the size, and then just get the paper that would fit in the insert, and then just print out, like Harry Potter or whatever I had the game at the time, and print it out, and I would sell it to another mom and pop shop, and they would actually take it like that. They would be like, okay, that's considered a loose copy, it's in a case. They just go, okay, loose copy. This is what you get for it. So I wouldn't worry about it. Like, as long as I put the reproduction on it on myself, I'm okay with having Chris or somebody else print it for me, because I'm damaging it myself. I'm making sure that people know it's a reproduction.
Me personally, again, I have, I think, maybe one in my collection. Not one that I did, obviously. I picked up the game like that, and that was Mario Golf for GameCube. I knew it was reproduction because obviously I can tell. Like, there's a lot of signs that you just know. Like Bones was saying, emblems, logos, you can look at those right away and usually tell they're a little blurry. That most likely means 100% it's a reproduction. And then if you turn it to the back of the case and you look at the small lettering and you can't read it, it's a reproduction. Unless they're that skilled. And honestly, I've done these for Linda. I did, I think, 1 or 2 for her. I think I might have did 1 or 2 for J Love. Recently, I found better paper and I did it for Dan. Dan's are a lot better than the previous ones, so those ones are probably a little harder to tell, but I do put reproduction on them when I do make them now. Dan's are written on the inside, reproduction. But I usually turn people down when it comes to inserts, because my reasoning is, why would I do an insert for you when I can do you a sleeve? Same purpose, but with a sleeve, it protects the whole case. I mean, I know it's a case, it's plastic, it's going to protect itself pretty much, but I just feel that the insert is really not my thing, not my forte. There's a lot of other people that do that. Nobody really does sleeves, and I've been trying to just stick to sleeves. So there are select people that have asked, and I do turn them down. The only ones that I tend to not turn down are the ones that I talk to pretty much all the time. Dan, Linda, Jen, like
You've had people ask for logo inserts.
Oh yeah, logo sleeves I'll do, and inserts
Yeah,
I'll do, but like if it's box art related, I've been select few basically I would do it for. But yeah, overall, I'm really not keen on anybody trying to pass off inserts for any reason. But like, as long as it's got reproduction on there, I'm okay with it. If you want it in your collection aesthetically to make it look better for you, that's cool. That's just not my cup of tea. So the last thing, and I think Dan already touched on it a little bit, was boxes. Would you put reproduction boxes in your collection? And I'll actually start this one off, and that's a no. And cart boxes, I don't even collect. When it comes to collecting, if it happens to have the box with the cartridge, okay, and I got it for a good price, fine. But typically, I don't even get boxes because they take up so much space. They're usually, over time, they'll get damaged. Doesn't even matter if you put the plastic protector on them. You could put a dust sleeve on them. It wouldn't matter. Eventually, the box is going to wear down. It's going to get old. The more you touch it, the more you mess with it, the more fragile it gets, the worse it gets, So I tend to get just cartridge based everything. CDs are a little different. I want it as complete as I can get it. But for cartridge, yeah, that's a no. It's easier for me to just print a dust sleeve and put it in a dust sleeve and put it on the shelf. Save space. That's the biggest issue for me, saving space. So save space. The only way I could do that is don't get the box. Get the game, the sleeve. 2 birds with 1 stone. Protect the game, save space. So Yeah, that's a no for me for as far as boxes are concerned. Like I said, if it comes with the box, I'm not gonna deny the box. Like I'll take the box, but what I do with the boxes, I'll take the cartridge out of the box, put the cartridge in the sleeve. You can actually put the sleeve back in the box for most games, believe it or not. So the sleeve will fit, like in an N64 box. It fits in like a clamshell, like Sega or Sega Master System. They all tend to fit. Super Nintendo, you can fit it in there. They all tend to fit fine, but I usually take it out of the box, leave it out of the box, so I don't keep messing with the box. I just put the box on the shelf, and the game's in another spot. I know it's kind of weird because then you got two things out, but for me, it works out because then I don't really have to mess with the box. The box kind of stays tucked away. The game is readily accessible. You can pull it right out of the sleeve quicker than you can ever take it out of the box, and I don't damage the box any farther. So that's my take on that. Bandana, what's your...
Well, right now I'm staring at my Wii U games and wondering if they're lying to me. But to that question, yeah, well, I'm in the same boat as you. I'm not a box collector for cartridges, especially. I find at this point in time, 30-year-old box is breaking down usually anyway, and
Yep.
The fastness. I think the one game I ever really wanted something to kind of designate it as special was the first DuckTales, just because I love that game, and I had you make a sleeve for it, and which to me is a cooler looking thing than just boxes. I have 3 in-box NES games, and that's just because I found them at a good price.
Yep, same thing with me. I'm just saying. And
yeah, to me, a repro box is making something that is just a pain in the butt. So I guess I'm also, but I am thinking like it would be cool, and then this is once again framed in like if it was labeled repro, I would be really cool to have the Dragon Warriors and Final Fantasy stuff. If it had all the stuff reproduced and it just was very clear that it was reproductions of like the maps and things like that, just because those were unique and kind of a cool history. But I think that's about it. Yeah, I would probably throw away a repro box if it came with a cartridge, just because I don't want to like take up the space.
I don't blame you. Bones.
Well, I'm on that same level. I have, besides that stadium events that's brand new and sealed, I only have 2 reproduction boxes in my entire collection, and I did not buy them. They came with the games when I bought them. One was a surprise, and the other one I knew was coming. They do not say reproduction on them. That's the only thing that sucks about them that I did not like. It kind of annoyed me. I also do not collect cardboard boxes. They just do not hold up to the sands of time. So there's no point in collecting those. I have some in NES. I have some in Super Nintendo, which, I mean, it's minuscule. I have, 3, 6, 7 games for Super Nintendo that are in box. That's it. And like I said, I don't collect them, and they're all beat up. They're all falling apart. They're not lasting. I do care about CD-based games, though. I do want cases for those, but cartridge-based, no. I cannot worry about the cardboard boxes on it. I do agree that, some of the maps for, like, Dragon Warrior and stuff are very important. Those things I would like to actually have in my collection, and I don't. So if somebody was selling a reproduction map, yeah, I probably would pick that up. I would still hope that it would say reproduction on it.
What do I got to get into the map making services now too?
So,
I'm not opposed.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get any nays, but like
it might happen.
I said everything should say reproduction on it if it is, because if you're going to make it that close to the authentic thing, you need to put reproduction on it. If it's a UPC case that you're throwing your NES cartridge in that's just got printed artwork in it, you don't have to put reproduction on it. Everybody knows it's not real authentic. It's not in a box. But people don't do that, and that's what's very frustrating and difficult about it. I can't even write reproduction on the one game because GNAC is a black box. So if I want to write it in a black marker, I'm kind of screwed. So what I tend to do is use a label maker. That would be my go-to thing. You put a label maker on it, reproduction box, stick it on there, there you go. And I thought about taking them out, but they're pricey games, and what's the point? The box falls apart, it falls apart. I could care less. It's not in a protector, you know. It's just, it is what it is.
Okay, Dan.
Yeah, so I have for boxes, I have my own personal take on this. So most of my collection is my own childhood stuff that I've and I was always really good about keeping everything, the box, the manuals and everything. I took really good care of my stuff ever since I was a little kid, and when I got older, and I started to go to college and move around a lot. I did, and these boxes do take a lot of space. I didn't carry the boxes with me from every time I moved to a new apartment. I took the games with me, and even that took a lot of space. But without going into too much details, just to say that so for the boxes, a good majority of the boxes I put in somebody's basement, and let's just say that they were thrown out without my permission, or they were lost. And so it is cardboard, it's just boxes, but from a collector's point of view, that was very heartbreaking to me. And so that's really when I was at the dilemma. I was like, look, I owned all these boxes at one point for myself. Some of them are really valuable. They were very valuable games now, and so I have the cart sitting here. I'm sure I'm sure as hell not going to go buy this box again, because I had it legitimately for the first time. And and so for me, the best solution was just to buy repro boxes and just move on, and just not dwell on it, not hate the people, not have any ill feelings towards anybody, and just move on from there. So I found that $10 for a cardboard box remake can help me get past all that, and so from that point on, I was okay with, for my own collection. I knew I had a lot of these boxes to begin with, but I lost them. So if I have to get a repro box just to move on, that's fine. So from that perspective, I'm okay with that. And I do have a lot of reproduction for the ones that I did lose. I for one of the boxes that I lost in that purge was Earthbound for Super NES.
No.
For that one, I did feel like I needed to go out and buy a box, so I spent $200 buying a piece of cardboard box for this game. And then I was like, and then I'm like, I am not doing this for every single game that I lost. So at that point, I was like, I'm okay with reproduction boxes.
And now
you were grieving.
Yeah.
You were grieving.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's now complete.
Now Dan has a special dust sleeve for that other Earthbound. He has a 3D dust sleeve for that Earthbound.
So I'm sure as hell okay with cardboard reproduction boxes for my own collection, because I feel like I've earned the right to have them in the collection. So that. But I do upgrade if I do have a reproduction box and I come across a good deal, and I have done this. If I come across another complete in-box copy for cheap, or if it's part of a package deal, or I will seek them down, and I will upgrade these original boxes over time if I can.
Okay, Dizzy.
Well, Chris, if you ever go into making maps, I'm looking for a Grand Theft Auto 3 map 3D pop out. If you ever think about it, I'm gonna make mine short and sweet. I wouldn't do it. I don't want the reproduction box. To me, that's like having a VHS with a fake box art on it. No, I'm not into it. Not at all.
Linda.
So for me, the only reproduction boxes I have are for a couple Genesis and Atari games, and that is in the field of, for the Genesis games, they don't look like at all like the original. They just have a clear case to them, and they have box art, but that's it. So you can immediately tell that it was not the original. You will not see it and go, oh, that's CIB. You'll go, okay, that's a reproduction box. For the Atari games, it was just because it was 2 games I wanted to play, found out they were bad. Glad I didn't pay $300 to find that out. And I wanted to protect the repro carts that I paid a little bit of money for. I was like, well, I'll find reproduction boxes, and they do say reproduction box on them. So everything says reproduction on it. And it was just something minor. Like, I wanted to put them in cases and stuff like that. So the only thing I've done. Other than that, I don't care. Like, I'll just sleeve it or it will be loose. It's not a big deal to me to have my cartridges out. And me, box art is not a big deal. Because I used to, as a kid, put it to the side, and it has happened before too, where my family just tossed it because they thought it was a bunch of rubbish just sitting here as trash. Why are you having all these like loose boxes folded on the side over here? Now it's taking up too much space, and they just tossed them. So eventually everything got tossed
Shed
as a
a
kid.
tear,
So
everyone. Shed a tear for all the tossed
Yeah.
boxes. GameStop!
yeah, a family's just so tired of seeing that box of boxes. We're gonna just toss it. So it's all happened to somebody at one point, but I just got used to it. So I don't even care about box art anymore, or like cartridge based. But that's just me.
All right.
A bunch of N64 boxes in the trash over time.
Well, it's like GameStop. They just throw the boxes away.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they also destroy games as well. So
Yeah.
we're in the field of like just crazy mode.
GameStop's a whole nother issue. Whole nother topic for another podcast.
Sand through their hourglass.
Yeah, exactly.
These are the days of our lives.
Basically, what it comes down to is you just have to be more mindful if you want authentic when you're looking for it, really. I mean, because there is no right or wrong answer. Your collection can be however you want it. If you have no problem with it, and there isn't any problem, It's just, you got to watch if you're looking for authentic. You have to be mindful. You have to put the effort into knowing what to look for. That's part of the hobby, though, when you think about it.
Yeah, in a way, but like the downside is when you are an actual collector looking for legit copies and people pass them off as legit when they're reproductions. And there's a ton of reproductions now, which is sad. But
everywhere.
Yeah. So if an average person was just looking that doesn't really have an eye for box art or anything like that, was just looking to further their collection, they're 9 times out of 10 going to see things on eBay or wherever they're searching. They're going to find repros before they find the original, especially when it comes to those more pricier titles.
Oh yeah.
So any comments, questions, anything on reproduction?
So there's a new level of reproduction, and we didn't really touch on it. I'm kind of curious about people's takes on it. You now have like boutique publishers, as I call them, your limited run games, and I am 8-bit. So, I mean, they're clearly marked as repros, but they're selling repros now. Like, what do we make of official reproductions? Like, limited run just sold Shantae on Game Boy Color, and I am 8-bit sold Mega Man X and Mega Man 2 repros.
All right.
Well, most of them, their cartridges are really off color.
Yeah.
So you can immediately tell, like, it's not the original game. Like, they make them, like, purples and random, like, oranges and stuff like that.
Reds, yeah, they go.
Yeah.
My take on that is, not only is that kind of messed up that they're coming out with games that were already out back in the day, but I understand it for one reason and one reason only. You got somebody in today's world, today's generation, just say, of gamers. They've never played that game, never thought of ever buying something old to play the game. So it's good for them. Yeah. It brings them into the generation that we grew up in. I get it from that standpoint. From another standpoint, I don't care for it. For me, being the age I am in our generation, they're bringing out games that would already released on older consoles and making money off it again. So like,
It's just like Nintendo. Nintendo's doing the same thing.
Well, yeah, they're porting their own games.
Sony's doing the same thing for games that are.
But they're porting their own games, though.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
There's a
and
big
these are
difference.
officially licensed. Like,
Yeah,
does
they
that
bought the
add-
license.
You know, does a Mega Man X from I Am 8-bit, which is $100, which that's ridiculous.
Right.
Does that hold a special? Like, I guess if the developer's involved, is that a okay practice? Because I bought the Shantae from Limited Run Games, just because I'm like, I'm never spending $300 on Shantae, and
Right.
I don't, you know, if a game's like that, I don't really feel a need for a reproduction because it's not something, or a fake looking or real looking reproduction just isn't appealing to me. But like having the official developer say, "Hey, we're re-releasing this. It's just a reproduction board,"
Well, one
was
thing I
kind
will
of
say is
appealing to me.
their labels do say limited run.
Yeah,
All the labels say limited run, and I don't care because it's not, if it's not a game that I want to buy, I'm not gonna buy it. But I don't care because it's giving life to a game that was thrown into a bin of either it just got the licensing taken away, you know, like the company folded, or it could have been, you know, like, hey, you know, this is gonna get a re-release because now the game is $400 and they see an appeal to it. So they know the market. They know that they can see a list of all the high-priced games and go with, you know, what us collectors really like, which is it's a high price. And us common gamers don't want to pay that price. So would you be willing to pay $100 for a little bit extra goodies with it on the side? It's your choice. But hey, look at this shiny keychain, and oh my goodness, a map. There's a map with a
Oh,
plushie. Do you like plushies? We got
You like
plushies.
stickers?
Hey.
We got stickers.
Yeah. You got a CD. We got CD players. We got this. We got. It's like they're throwing everything they can into that to add to the value of it. So I don't mind that. I don't mind if it's, you know, a few extra goodies with it. It's like a collector's edition. I'm cool with that. It's just I don't like when they only sell the game for $100 because they slapped a nice little shiny thing on it and called it a day. If they're not marking up ridiculous prices and you get a little bit of value to it, I'm cool with it.
All right.
Well, I agree with Chris to the point where it's a good way to get the younger generations to see and play what we played as kids. Now, granted, 9 out of 10, they've been upscaled and they've been remastered, and a lot of the time they look different than the original one we played. But I don't really buy limited run. That's not really my thing.
no.
Thing.
What I'm
It has to
talking
be-
about is actual. They put out Nintendo cartridges, Game Boy Color cartridges.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But like Linda said, they're always different colored. They say limited run. Like, you can distinguish that
Yeah.
from a bootleg or anything. I mean, it's a little different. I think their choice in games could be better. I think they should have more pricier titles and stop producing sometimes what I feel is like just garbage stuff, like the Sega CD Star Wars and stuff. Like, I don't see the point in reproducing that. I still see a lot of cash grab going on with them, but I don't really see a problem with their company and what they do. It's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Dan.
I'm a pretty big limited run supporter just from the beginning, so I tend to do buy a lot of their stuff. But the thing that surprised me, like, so I like for Shantae, I do have the original game of Shantae, and I often worry that having a lot of copies out there now flooding the market will reduce the value of my copy, my original copy. But that doesn't seem to be the case. I mean, I feel like if anything, a lot of times that increases the value of the game because everybody's aware of it now, and so I've noticed that some of the games that they've re-released, you know, hasn't has a negative impact on the value of a game, of the original game. So I'm okay with that, and definitely, yeah. I mean, if there's a legit copy of the game that reduces the wear and tear of my original copy, even better. You know, so I can play the limited run version on my Game Boy Color and not have to play my original one. If it plays the same, that's even better, I think. So yeah, and I definitely agree that for I mean, again, these games are so expensive, and it's just not realistic for people to have them and play them on the system that they were meant to be. So, if companies are out there making it more available to a wider audience, I think that's a good thing in the long run.
I want opinions on what do you guys think about people adding repros into their collection, passing off the collection as a complete collection, like a complete NES collection with repros in it?
Well, again, that's going by what Bones said. Like, if that's what you think is complete, that's what you think is complete. We might have our own opinions of it, and our opinions are going to vary. But as that collector, if he feels that he has a complete collection with repros, that's what it is. That's his complete collection.
My collection to me, my NES set, the licensed set to me is finished. I have a Reproduction Stadium events, but my set is finished. I have every other licensed NTSC NES cartridge. I don't have Stadium events, but to me, my set is complete, and I have that Reproduction. But that's the only way I'm ever going to own a Stadium event. But it's a reproduction.
True. I agree with that. That sounds good to me. Because you're never going to find that for real. Like, how many people are actually going to get their hands on a Stadium events?
It's like a $20,000 game.
Yeah, and it's ridiculous.
It's even even expensive in Europe now. Like,
well, that was something I thought about maybe doing. Like, you can get roughly around like $1,500, I think, in box. You can get one that's PAL, but I'd rather go after all the PAL released games that were licensed before I worry about even that. I would rather have Mr. Gimmick over that. Like, there's so many other games that I would get that were strictly PAL released before I would even attempt to buy the Stadium events, because it's just too expensive.
Any other questions, comments? Anybody?
No, I think we touched just about everything.
Bandana, you good?
I mean, I'm a huge Dan mark now. Just his opinions are phenomenal.
You're a Dan Cat fan now, huh?
Yeah, oh yeah. This is awesome.
I appreciate it. Buy my sleeve from Chris.
Nicely done, sir.
Woo, what a plug.
The bandana is off. The bandana is off out of respect for that.
I'm surprised Bandana didn't do that. Okay, since we're good, we're going to finish off the podcast with Game of the Month. Bones, what's your Game of the Month?
I'm going to go with Mario Kart for the Super Nintendo, which I just recently acquired as well.
Dan?
Yeah, we were talking about Maximo back in the Franchise of the Month segment, which seemed like 2 hours ago. But recently for the Nintendo Switch, there's a new Ghosts and Goblins game called Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection, and right now it's only digital. But I did download that, and it's really good. So I highly recommend that. The artwork is really amazing. So, Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection. Sorry,
that's good. Bandana.
I'm gonna go with Mortal Kombat Tournament Edition for the Game Boy Advance. So just pick that up, and I've been enjoying it.
Nice. Dizzy?
I'm gonna say Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories. I was actually streaming that earlier. I haven't played it in about 6 years. I got back on it today, and it was a lot of fun. And if you make me that map, Chris, I'm gonna want it 3D popped out.
Back on the map discussion. That map must really want to be made.
What's that? Shadow boxing.
What's that, Bones?
That was a great idea. The
3D pop map.
3D pop, yeah. The mountains up.
Right?
Oh, great! Now we got a whole bunch of people that want our.
The gears just started spinning, man.
Oh,
yeah, see, catching interest.
Okay, Linda.
Topical maps, geography.
I'll be doing it all. The globe.
Yeah, so for me, mine is going to be Hyrule Warriors, the original one. I picked that up and I've been playing that, and it's actually been really fun.
Cool.
And for me, it's going to be a throwback to Sonic, the original.
Nice.
You can't beat Sonic. Well, Mario can, but that's a whole another podcast.
Oh snap! Don't start. Let's get out of here before we start another rant.
All right. Thank you guys for coming and doing this podcast. And this was actually Bandana's idea.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for
Yes.
letting me
Nice.
try this idea out.
This was a great podcast. Dizzy, thanks for coming. Another
Thank you.
guest
Thank you for
appearance.
having me.
Thanks to the original crew here. The ones that are here every time.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's been fun.
As always, don't blow, just leave.
Leave it.
Hey, internet.
Peace.
See ya.
Peace.